like I'm live on both platforms. Welcome one, welcome all. Such a good, amazing week. Let's say amazing. You weren't here for the last live show. I was talking about some of my issues with seeing private corporations with the ability to create killer robots that are subsidized by our tax dollars. Not even our tax dollars. They can create money out of nowhere to fund whatever sick shit that is rolling around in their minds. It's like we should be concerned. We're talking about some of the biggest psychopaths in the world. And all they can think of is ways to make money off of killing people. Your companies like Boeing, you mentioned them by name, but you could also mention a whole cornucopia of weapons manufacturers, Northrop Grumman, GE, the list continues. However, as soon as I leave the building talking about this shit, like we should not trust these corporations, why is nobody protesting? As soon as I leave, I walk out into a street that is filled with marchers for Palestine, like people who are trying to raise awareness of what's going on in Palestine, the genocide. I'm at the end of the parade or march. I don't want to call it a parade. We weren't celebrating, but we were. You start to feel like a celebration after a while because I'm at the end, but people are coming out into the street to join. Because the message that we were coming together on resonated with people. That's how they were able to draw me into it. So it's just like, it was very heartening. And then, I got told it was another coordinating event, and I went to that one. And then I ended up at, it was a Boeing protest. So it was like a bunch of people came together because Boeing, they were supposed to be coming together. It's kind of like CES, but with weapons. It's called DSS. It is Defense Support Systems or something like that. But it's like they're them demonstrating their new weaponry that we just funded, that they are like getting rich off of. They're like ripping their heads off for this new weaponry. And they had this whole event like, let's show what these weapons can do. But then we ended up protesting it. It was like over 80 groups came together to protest it. I was amongst them. And they ended up having to move the whole event online. Like it was a Zoom event after they discovered we were going to be protesting. But subsequently, your boy made the news from it. So let's just take a look, see if you can recognize anyone. It's one of the speakers. That's all. You see anybody you know? I don't know. Anybody recognizable in that photo? Got ties with war profiteers. Let's just say this region. Anybody look familiar? Oh, he's a dark. Well, he's dark in that photo, dark and mysterious. He must be good looking because he's so hard to see. He's the one saying come together right now. Anyways, I ended up being asked to hold this poster or half of it up. And then it ended up making the news. It was like the thumbnail. And well, one of the things they were telling us before the event got started, they were like, a lot of people are choosing to wear masks, not because it's spreading disease, but you got to wear a mask because they're watching us. The Boeings and all that shit, they got all this technology to survey us, and it's in your best interest to cover your face. I'm like, of course, I'm going mask off. So I want my face to be the last thing they see before going under, for suffocating those motherfuckers and just taking my money back. That's my thinking. But then Shortly after this whole event happened, I found out about the Boeing whistleblower who ended up committing suicide after, acknowledging Boeing's negligent practices when it came to safety. And he was supposed to go before court again. And instead of doing that and saving the lives of millions of people, because there's multiple engineers coming out saying this is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Boeing security or their lack thereof. But yeah, instead of, coming out and speaking out on what's going on, he decided to kill himself right before he was supposed to testify about what Boeing's got going on. Now, I know that sounds not at all questionable to a lot of you. Obviously, people commit suicide. Look at all the friends of the Clintons who commit suicide randomly. It's just something that people do when they're about to disrupt certain systems that benefit a certain clique of very corrupt people. I understand, you guys have been programmed to think that's not at all suspicious, that someone will commit suicide right before going before court. But hear me out. What if he didn't commit suicide? I know it's hard to believe, but just think about it. Boeing, they create weapons of death that kill all kinds of people. I'm just talking about their airplanes. Their airplanes that are supposed to get people safely from point A to point B just fall out of the sky, killing droves of people. All right. Well, when you take into account the weapons that they create that are designed to kill people, that are purposely meant to kill people, and you add that to the death from the airplanes, it seems like they don't give a shit about life. I would say human life, but life in general, they just don't care. I always compare it to that movie I've never seen with Cameron Diaz, where she has to push a button and she'll get $1 million, but someone she doesn't know will die. And the weapons manufacturers, they just keep pushing that button. They don't stop pushing the button. It's but I got to keep on pushing it. They'll never have enough time to spend all the money they made from pushing that button, but they keep on pushing it. So when someone is that morally bankrupt, greedy, disgusting, valueless, worthless, let's just say worthless, should they be elevated in our society? Or should we lock these motherfuckers up? Should they be able to have conferences talking about new weapons that will kill countless amounts of people? Or should they be behind bars having weapons of mass penetration inserted into them? I don't know. This is for the people to decide, because I'm pro-democracy. But I think if we start having these conversations, we would have a definitely different outlook on our society. And once the average person starts having to vote, I'm pretty sure they won't be elected to give these creeps more money. I'm pretty sure anybody who went to Epstein Island has any ties to the Pentagon, CIA, all that shit, all that creepy shit, all that incestuous, vile greed. Anybody who's in these networks, these cliques, it'd be doing some time. I'm just from the Americans I've spoken to, they're sick of it. I've never met anyone who's Epstein, he was a philanthropist. He's a philanthropist like Bill Gates. All they do is give it to the children. They're big on philanthropy. No one believes their story. So I'm confident putting democracy in the people's hands when it comes to a lot of this stuff. And you think about it, like when we get a Amber Alert, right? Everyone, it's always a Honda, like 99.9% of the time, it's just like a random, it's like a color of a Honda. It's just like you get like, hey, keep an eye out for this silver Honda or whatever. And it's just like, we all get this notification at the same time. We could just as easily get instead of an Amber Alert, it's a democracy alert. Do you want healthcare for all? Yes or no? Type Y for yes or N for no. Do you want to lock up billionaire war criminals? Yes or no? Should billionaires exist? Yes or no? I mean, you could even start with, should 100 billionaires exist? Should 10 billionaires exist? Should, and then just work your way down. Do you want to subsidize corporations? Should corporations exist? We could be just making this a democratic process. We don't need like a bunch of corrupt politicians going against our interests. And like watching the whole shit unfold with Boeing, it's like a prime example, because all the people against Boeing, it was like hundreds of people. And the people, like, we were attracting more people, the more people saw it, because they were like, oh my God, you guys are going against Boeing? Fuck that company. Fuck that. I don't want to pay them. But politicians don't listen to that currently. So until they can like respond to us, we have to build these mechanisms to evict them. They don't even show up for the votes that really matter to us. So, yeah. So just show up. If you're out there, you're near one of these weapons companies. Doesn't have to be Boeing. They don't have to be undergoing some current scandal. Get in front of the scandal. The scandal is coming. If they're taking your money, they're working with the Pentagon, CIA, any of these companies, they're building weapons against Palestine. They're evil. Get ahead of the scandal. Please do that. That was the setup. I don't know what you reference, but yeah, I was trying to just set up the talk. I mean, because it's just truly ironic how this shit unfolded. But I embrace it because now I was able to start an organization. I got several people who are working with the different organizations that helped formulate the events that I was speaking of earlier, the pro-Palestine, anti-Boeing ones specifically. Yeah, and they've committed to coming to speak to the members of my group starting next month. So solidarity. It's going to be a beautiful thing. We're going to continue to build on this. We're figuring out ways to just sustain it, like figuring out how to fund the food, fund the revolutionaries, so it's easier to participate in the revolution, because that's like one of the big things that makes it difficult. It's like a big barrier. Motherfuckers are too broke to show up. I used to organize all the time before pandemic, when I could, obviously, because sometimes I didn't have the gas to do it. But now I have the ability to help fund some people, get some money in their pockets for making sure they show up. So, yeah, I'm going to be exploring all that shit. And yeah, it's just going to be a beautiful thing. I'm going to be putting together some clips from the past week, where really it's been going on for a while, but just the irony, how this shit unfolded, because it is, like, to quote Alanis Morissette, it's ironic, or something to that extent. But anyways, I do have locations to make before 8 o'clock. Oh God, I'm going to be late. But anyways, internet, I appreciate you, and continue to fight the revolution. I see you in the streets. Let's make this shit happen. I'm looking forward to seeing some billionaires doing the perp walk. So Godspeed, continue to evolve and revolve around revolution.